Hello, everybody. It's me again with your bi weekly talk show called What's Playing. I'm very excited to be here. I know I'm always a little tired sounding when I start, but I get really animated later on. It's because it's 8 a.m. in where I am, and in order to do the show, I have to get up pretty early so I can do my other morning activities. But I have my green tea. I'm awake and I am ready. So if you are new here, welcome. My name is Sonia. I am a DJ, artist, writer, general jack of all trades when it comes to working in music and creativity, experimental musician, currently based in Daegu, South Korea. This is my bi-weekly talk show airing only on Onaire TV, where I talk to DJs, artists, and other music industry adjacent people about what's on their playlists and what they're listening to. This week's guest is somebody that I've actually had on the show in the past before. I think that he was actually the first big account that I asked when the show was still on Instagram Live. And when he said yes, I was very excited. And this ended up being a very long conversation. And it also was the catalyst for me realizing that the show could be more than 20 minutes. The show could allow for more in-depth conversations to be had. So I'm very excited to have this person back. Now, this is not an artist. This is not a DJ. I mean, kind of a DJ, a selector. And I'm very excited to have my friend Chillwave Kittens back on the show. So Chillwave Kittens, you might know from the internet, is a music memer. He's a blogger. He's a streamer. Wow. I didn't mean to make that rhyme and sound like that. I'm sorry. Maybe it was intentional for the bio I was sent. He specializes in making fun of bands that are universally loved and promoting artists that are universally underappreciated. Chillwave Kittens streams twice a week on Twitch. First show is Show and Tell, which allows viewers to send in videos and music for him to react to. And the next is Chillwave Live, which is his own take on a live radio show. So his Instagram is the epicenter of all of this, where people either grow to love him or most likely hate him. And right after this, he's actually doing the Chillwave Live on his own channel. So if you like this conversation, you want to hear some music, you want to do a radio show situation, you can pop on over to Chillwave Kittens Twitch and get started. But let me add him to the show and let's chit chat. Wait, I have
Hey,
my little background here. Oh yes, look at that.
I am here.
You're here. How are you?
I'm great. How are you?
I am good. I don't know why I want to remove the phrase "How are you" from my vocabulary because it's so meaningless, and the answers are always going to be like
Always,
"I'm good,
they're
thanks."
always the same. What if I was going through something really heavy and I bombarded the stream with like this really long situation that's
I
going on in my head.
Like you could. The thing is though, like sometimes like you ask people that and people feel like that's like if they don't know you that well, right? Like people feel like that's an invite to be like, well, actually, I'm not doing so great, and then you're
Yeah,
like,
exactly.
damn, that
It's
sucks. Anyway,
calm
like
down, dude.
yeah, I'm like I didn't mean it like that.
I was just trying to break the ice. Calm down.
Yeah, so I feel like I need like a new phrase to say instead of how are you, like something more specific, like oh, did you sleep well? Like you know what I mean? Did you have breakfast? What was it? But anyway, we're both good.
Yes, great.
Good. Okay, so we have a lot of catching up to do, I guess. It's been a while since we
It's
chit
been a
chatted
while.
on the show. I actually can't even remember when you were on the show last, but I'm so glad that you're back. Thank you so much
I don't know
for
when
your
if I can remember either. It's been a while.
I know. I mean, also with pandemic, it's been like 3 years of my time. So like I
Mhm.
actually just don't know how long things take anymore.
Yeah.
I actually had a question for you that was like kind of specific to your work in memology,
Sure.
which was, do you consider what you do to be a form of music journalism?
Yes,
Yeah.
100%. Um, Not all of it, but to a certain degree, yes, because everything that I do is kind of a commentary on either a lot of it is a commentary on myself and how I view the world and how I view music, but a lot of it is just like frustration with I guess how people consume art and music and commentaries on that. And when it comes to the smaller artists, yes, I definitely do. When it comes to the bigger artists, it's give or take because sometimes I'm just talking shit, but other times, yeah, I would say so.
how do you think is like how do you think people consume music and music journalism these days?
So I think people consume music a lot for themselves instead of for the art that it is.
Okay.
Um, so like uh, from there's a lot of pages that are bigger than me, and they all kind of do the same thing where they kind of just talk about music that they like constantly, and which is fine, like you're allowed to do that. But I think, stroking the egos of bands that kind of don't need it, like Radiohead, or like, I don't know, Car Seat Headrest, or bands that are monetarily fine, who people are gonna find out at some point in their life. Like every fucking person in the world at some point will listen to Radiohead. I don't want to waste time gearing people to listen to that because what is it? Who is it helping?
Yeah,
Um,
like they're gonna
and
find it on their own. Everybody knows.
and another thing is, uh, I think people look at liking music as some sort of contest.
Okay.
Um, A, how good is your taste? B, uh, have you heard every like Pink Floyd album? Have you heard every Beatles album? Have you heard every Led Zeppelin album? And you know what? I'm gonna tell you no to all three of those. I haven't heard every song by all three of those bands. I haven't heard every album, but I don't fucking have to because I'm living in 2021 where I'm using my platform to talk about people who are currently making music. I don't
Yep.
need to give my opinion on everything. Like everything I post about isn't like my personal shit, but I think it has some sort of redeeming quality where there are people who follow me that will like it. And I don't like to use my music taste as like a personality trait, I guess.
Okay. Yeah, that makes sense. I mean, also like you're an adult now, so you don't need to do that.
Yeah, exactly. Like I don't need to like I'll do it so I want to do more like list-based posting and but about bands that people don't care about because
Right.
they should care about them. Like I've seen every Kanye album ranked enough times, you know what I mean? Like
Yeah.
it's boring to me. Uh Videos about a deep dive into Weezer, like okay, well that's not interesting.
Yeah, like we already know, like we've already consumed it. We spent so long consuming it.
Mhm.
I love what you said about like listening to music as a contest. It's a phrase I can definitely relate to. Obviously, when I was in high school, like your taste was like a large part of your personality because when you're a child, you define yourself by what you like.
Yeah.
And in high school, a lot of it was like how obscure it was and how
Mhm.
different was your music. And like, of course, this was my emo phase, so it was like, oh, do you listen to like the really like hardcore emo bands, right? And for a long time, I kept my music like very, very private. Like I wouldn't want to tell people what I was listening to
Yeah.
because I'd be like, oh, it's my secret band.
Yeah.
So you're right. Like I wasn't doing that listening for myself. There was no desire to like share that with people. Um,
Well, another thing too is like people want to just consume as much music as humanly possible, which is like if you're a music nerd, that's totally fine. But from my perspective, that does not sound that enjoyable to me because like I don't know how you can really understand something if you listen to it once and then move on to something else because do you know what scrobbles are? Do you know what that
like
is?
on Last FM.
Yeah, so it's like a thing where like it's like it records how much music you listen to and how often you listen to certain artists, and these kids are fucking obsessed with their numbers, like how many times I listen to this, and it's just it's obviously something that they'll grow out of, but just me being an older person, it just I might be out of touch, but it just seems like kind of a waste of time to me.
Yeah, I mean, you're probably right. Like, are people still using Last FM? Is that what I gather from this?
Yes, people still use Last FM.
Wow. I mean, good for Last FM for still being out and about. I thought that it had like shut down a long time ago. Do you remember 8 tracks?
I don't think so.
It was like a website. It was like very big in like the Tumblr era because it was very
Oh,
aesthetic.
I've heard of that website. Yeah, I've heard of that website.
Yeah, it was like very aesthetic, and you could like make a little playlist and then share the playlist, and it was like very pretty,
Yeah.
and all the playlists like at the time what was popping was like that indie kind of vibe,
Hmm.
slow dreamy music, or like music to like smoke cigarettes to, like behind the dumpster, like
Love
a
smoking
lot of,
cigarettes to music. It's the best.
right? I know sometimes I'm like, "Ugh, why did I quit? Like
Same.
this could really match up with a nice cigarette right now." But
Yep.
then I'm
It's not worth
like,
it.
you're on the bus and it's like some sad ass song, and you're like, I need a cigarette for this to really feel like a movie.
Yep.
Um, so okay, if you don't agree that the goal should be to consume like as much music as possible, which I also agree, I think you need to spend time with things and
Hmm.
get to know the music a little more than to just like absorb it as much as possible and then never return to it. Your job or like your main focus revolves around finding new music. So how often would you say that you actively look for new music? Like not the stuff that's sent to you, but how often do you seek it out? And not by the same artists that you already like not their new releases, but
So
new artists.
I want to say probably about 3 or 4 days a week.
Okay.
Um,
Wow.
I have a secret playlist on my Spotify where if an artist drops something or I see something and it looks interesting, I drop it in there and then I'll kind of listen to it all at the end of the week. Um, so that's kind of how I do it. Um, I used to try every day, but then I got really burnt out and didn't want to listen to music anymore. So I need to give myself a break and like watch TV and hang out with my wife and do other things and not consume music all the time because when you
Yeah.
consume too much music, it you can form like a resentment towards it
Yeah.
because it's like you'll go through these hot spells where you're just finding new shit left and right. Like my show tonight was an accident, but every song that I'm playing tonight is from this year. So it's like when I put together a show, I kind of put that pressure on myself. Like I want there to be a certain balance between older music and brand new music because I want the show to be about, discovery and there needs to be new music. Um, and I'm looking at the show today as I'm typing up my playlist, and I realize that every song I put on there is from this year.
Wow.
Um, eh, so it's I go through hot spells, I go through dry spells. Sometimes it's easy, sometimes it's very hard.
Yeah.
Because sometimes I'll just be listening to stuff and I'm just like I haven't liked anything I've heard in the last week, and that's usually when I need to take a step back and just kind of relax.
Yeah. Yeah. I agree that you can't like if your job is music, you can't listen to music all the time. And sometimes like you want a day where you don't have to listen to music, or you want a day where you just
Yeah.
listen to like, your popcorn stuff. You
Yeah,
know.
exactly. Like there's days where I don't want to listen to music at all, but like there's shit I listen to that I don't even like talk about because it's like it's just for me, you
Yeah,
know.
of course. Yeah, there's things that you should keep for yourself. I mean, like for myself as well, like working in techno and experimental music. Like there's shit I listen to on my own playlist. I'm like, that is for my own enjoyment.
Yeah.
So how important do you think it is to stay current when like paying attention to music? Because you were saying that the music is about like it's about music discovery, but like finding old stuff, like would that not be considered a form of discovery to you as well?
Oh, absolutely. Staying current is extremely important to me just because there's constantly artists making music that I like and I think is good and I think should be talked about. And I mainly focus on music that was made in the last 10 years.
Okay.
A lot of people like to question that or like ask me why I do that. And like, why don't you listen to any old stuff? Why don't you ever talk about old stuff? And like I said earlier, I kind of don't see the point. Like,
Right.
I'm alive right now. To me, old music does not hit for me because I was not there. I was not
Right.
alive while this was being made. So like it's much harder for me to relate to it and gravitate toward it and say that it speaks to me when it doesn't, you know? Like I relate a lot to things that, make sense to me and I'm 31 years old. So when I started listening to good music was about 11 years ago when I turned 20. Um and all of that music represents periods of time for me and it's been like this the whole time. Like I could have if I could have I would have started this 10 years ago, but
Mhm.
I think I think it's good to stay within the realm of the last 10 years because a lot of the artists that I like from the last 10 years are still making music but aren't getting the push that they used to get on the internet,
Mm.
because things like Pitchfork and Stereo Gum and XMU are not really operating the way that they used to. Um, so, it's kind of like these bands were, pushed to the moon for a second and then left for dead for whatever reason.
Yeah, I noticed that happens a lot as well. Like some of the bands that I listen to are apparently still around, but like I was shook when I found that out. I was like, really? Because I
Yeah.
haven't heard anything about you in however long, and it makes you wonder, like, why did music journalism kind of just forget about you? Like, where the fans are still there somehow,
Yeah.
but why were you forgotten about in the media?
Hmm.
What would you say differs your role, like as a memer, streamer, list maker, from basically a traditional music journalist or somebody who would work at like one of these publications?
Nobody's paying me to write about things.
No.
Well, I mean, to be honest, that's a little bit of I wouldn't say a lie, because on my website, so the artists in my club, I give them a spot on my website where they send me new music that they have, or a new music video, or a new album, and I'll write a little post about it.
Right.
I kind of look at that as taking up a billboard, because
Yeah,
um, what I've learned from being working talking to people in the music industry is that everybody's paying for stuff. Everybody's paying for stuff. That's how everything, you know, Adele isn't getting on the fucking front page of Spotify for 2 weeks because she's amazing. She's getting on it because her label has a lot of money and they want the numbers to do well. And that's how you lock that shit in. You put it in people's faces, and it takes money to do that. But
yeah,
so the thing about Pitchfork and Stereo Gum and all of these websites is that they sort of, they're kind of just employees, like they went to school for journalism. Um, and they have a job. Say you have a job at Pitchfork. It's You're reviewing Lana Del Rey, you're reviewing Beach House, you're reviewing Arcade Fire, you're reviewing this. And there's a disconnect between like the passion of the writer to the art itself. Like it's just a job. It's just a job
yeah,
now.
yeah. I understand that take. I think that if you're like asked to be turning out reviews all the time, at some point you might become kind of disenchanted with
Yeah,
the.
exactly. When I put that pressure on me to like post about new music all the time, that's when my shit gets really stale and I stop liking it. So now I kind of just pump shit out when I feel like it.
Mhm.
So I would say what separates me from a regular music journalist is that, one, I didn't go to college. Two, uh I what's the I try to look at the art from the artist's perspective, not mine. Because when you look at it only from your perspective and you're writing about things and you're reviewing things, you are basically stroking your own ego and talking about how smart you are instead of making it about the music.
Right.
Because when people write about music and they talk about it and they review it, they say what they like, what they don't like. It's usually very self serving bullshit that doesn't talk about the music really. It just kind of talks about their opinions and what they think instead of looking at it for what it is.
Yeah, that makes sense. I think that something that, like, when I realized that was like, yo, your opinion does not matter
No one's opinion matters. It's the
to
dumbest
anyone
thing ever.
except you.
It's the dumbest thing ever.
Right? And that's why I think that music reviews as a whole, and like why we're seeing publications like Pitchfork and Stereogum kind of like decline and like almost suffer a little bit, is because people don't care about reviews anymore. Like, why do I
No.
care about this random ass fucking journalist opinion on this album that came out? Like, regardless of what they say, I'm gonna like it or not like it.
Yeah, exactly. There's
You
no
know what I mean?
point.
That's not going to influence my opinion. That's not going
Hmm.
to influence my experience with the record. And I think that's why a lot of publications don't really do reviews anymore, because they're meaningless. They don't do anything, and why we see a lot of publications shift towards these like really long form features on the state of the industry as a whole, as opposed to, or like in depth analysis of these artists, as opposed to like, okay, like new whatever, like, you know, album came out. Here's what Greg thinks.
Yeah, no, honestly, it's insane to me because when I was, you know, booming when I was like in my prime of like, being a young adult and like listening to music and partying and finding myself, music discovery was so easy because Pitchfork and XMU made it so easy.
Mm-hmm.
I don't know if you know what XMU is, but Sirius XMU is quote unquote the number one uh, indie rock station on the planet or something. But the thing is like it's sort of like there's no reason that any radio station should be playing new music from Modest Mouse. There's no reason that anybody should be listening to new Modest Mouse. Like,
You
I
don't
get
think
that,
it bangs?
huh?
You don't think it pops?
No, I don't. And I think we could be. I think the internet could be breaking new artists the way it was doing 10 years ago if it still had the same mindset. But that is just way too much to ask.
Yeah, that makes sense. Do you like? What do you think is like good? I guess in like music publications, like what do you think is good that they're putting out? Or do you still even like bother to read them? Like in terms of like finding music? I know that
No,
I usually like to ask people like what their like music discovery tools are. I know some people don't like to reveal them because they want to like keep the
I
process
mean, to be completely
themselves.
honest, I'll reveal all my secrets right now because I want other people to do what I do. I want other people to. I don't want to keep it all to myself. I want other
Right.
people to find these artists and rep them. You know what I mean? Like if there's somebody who has 100,000 followers that wants to take my ideas and do it the same way I'm doing it, please do it because I want all of them to make more money. So
Yeah.
I get I get a chunk of music from Gorilla versus Bear. Um, he has his show every week. I keep up with his blog. I've been reading up on Flux blog, Matthew of Perpetua. He's an old MP3 blogger that I just sort of found out about recently. He's got a great blog. Um, and something that people don't know is I kind of use my club, my Patreon to find music because we have all these channels in our Discord where you can share music. Like we have a rock channel, a pop channel, an electronic channel, music videos, new music, and 75% of the people in there are artists themselves. So
Mhm.
they kind of chat amongst themselves all day and share music and share their music and all shit that they're finding. And if something looks interesting to me, I'll click on it and I'll see if I
Yeah.
like it, and that's how that goes. Another way to discover new music for me is my other show where people send me stuff to
Yeah.
react to. I think my show tonight has 3 songs that I discovered from people sending them to me on that show. Um, and then I don't rely on Spotify algorithm because
Right.
it like lumps in a bunch of stuff I don't like with stuff I do like. Like it's like just because I like Arcade Fire doesn't mean I like Mumford and Sons. Like it's not the same thing. Um, but I have a release radar and I'll
Mhm.
look through it every week. And if I see an artist that I like that I haven't heard or like their name or something, I'll drop it in my temporary playlist. But that's pretty much it. Uh, I don't, I don't, Pitchfork is useless to me.
Yeah.
Um, Stereo Gum is the same thing as Pitchfork. Um, I used to get music from Anthony Fantano, but like our music taste does not align whatsoever. So that is that's a no. I just like him because of how hard he works. But I don't know. It just sort of music just like comes to me, I guess. It just
Yeah. Well, I mean, it is your like whole thing. Of course, people
yeah.
are gonna listen to you, which is good. I mean, like you're basically a DJ.
Yeah.
Yeah. I mean, I think that I agree with you saying with the like the big publications are kind of useless. Like they're mostly gonna be talking about mainstream artists. I already know about fucking Drake and The Weeknd, whatever they're gonna be talking about. Like it's what we
Yeah.
were saying in the beginning. I already know about these artists. I don't need to read another article about it. I don't care, right? Like it's been a really long time that I've been hearing about them, so I'm just no longer interested. And the fact that this content keeps getting like pushed out is always like
Hmm.
alarming to me. I guess I'm just like bored of it. Especially when it comes to like the artists that are really, really big. Like I know, I understand, you know what I mean? Like the same takes again and again about
Yep.
like how secretive they are or whatever. Um, okay, this is supposed to be a show about music. I know that you have your show coming up after this, but I was wondering if you would be willing to share some of the stuff that you are listening to because I am in dire need of some recommendations. Like I said in our little chat before we went live, I've been
Hmm.
trying to look for new stuff. I've been listening to a lot of Korean stuff, which is a lot of
Hmm.
fun. But I'm always looking for new music, and you have really fun taste. So I was wondering if you'd be willing to share anything new that you've been listening to as a
Uh,
teaser for Chillwave Live next.
yeah. Do you want me to just like say it? Like I can just say it. Like I have a list like right here.
Yeah, I mean, you can just say, or you can say like a couple and like talk about them a little bit. It's up to you.
I've been listening to the new Sleigh Bells album pretty much 2 or 3 times a day. I'm really hooked on that. I'm really into this band called Cafune right now.
Okay.
That's Cafune. They're kind of like like a chill proggy indie rock band. They're kind of sick. Um, this new band called Wet Leg, who only has 2 songs. They're incredible. Munya, she is on Gorilla versus Bears label. She has an album coming out Friday, and her singles have been really good. A new Los Angeles band called Le Pain, they're really sick. And somebody who my Discord really likes, people in my Discord likes, who this guy named Slater. So not the woman Slater,
Oh, okay.
uh,
I was gonna be like,
not
we
the
know
not
this.
no, no, not the woman Slater. Yeah, I know. It's like a it's not Slayter. It's just Slater.
Okay. Oh
He's like a cloud pop artist from Los Angeles,
my gosh, I haven't heard
and
that phrase in so
and
long.
I'm kind of obsessed with him right now. I would definitely check him out. Nightwalks, this artist in my club who so like when it comes to running a music of musicians, you really have to walk a fine line between what you present out there as your own opinion, because I don't ever want there to be anything like disingenuous about what I do. So like, it's kind of like, you know, promo is paid for and that's fine. But like realistically, I can't fuck with everything that walks through the door.
Totally.
Not saying it's not good or anything, but it's just like everyone has specific taste. It doesn't align with mine. I'm not, you know, but it's really nice when somebody that is in the club like blows me away and I just like it enough to rep it all the time, and they don't got to like they don't got to ask me to do shit, and I'll just put them on shit. So yeah, Nightwalks, he has a song called Monster. It's his first song, his first like official song,
Mhm.
and it'll definitely be like year end list worthy. Um the new Rare DM song Rolex is insanely sick, has an incredible music video. And all of the songs I just named will be played on my show tonight. So if you're watching and you want to get a taste of new music or what I do, you can watch my show after this one.
Yeah, right on Choikin's Twitch. Actually, this is a pretty good segue into my next question. So sometimes you say an artist blows you away and they don't have to pay and you can just promote them all the time. And of course you have the platform. So and the people that follow you are obviously aware of like the type of music. So they
Yeah.
would probably listen to the recommendations and they most likely will like it, right? So you work with a lot of artists who are up and coming, maybe not so popular, maybe new, right? Like very
Yeah.
emerging level in the club. What do you think? And you see this like these progressions. So I wonder, what do you think is the best thing that a new artist releasing music can do right now? Is it contact a meme page?
Um so I would love to say contact a meme page, but the actual answer is um be involved. So listen, just to preface this, to me, how I see it, the music industry is about keeping people who are smaller than you, because
Mm,
everyone's fighting for a spot. And I think that what the best thing that these small zero a month listeners on Spotify artists can do is engage with other artists who are at the same level or like a year or two ahead of them, or even 5 years ahead of them, or just people who are in it for the same reasons. Because when you engage with communities of people who are into the same things you are and are goal oriented, it can really blossom you into the artist that you want to be. Because you know, I'm not a musician, but I get in my head all the time about content I'm making. Was this good? Does this suck? Is this corny? Is this trash? And I can only imagine what it's like for a musician. You know what I mean? Like if a post I do tanks, I'm like, fuck. I can only imagine, releasing, putting all your effort into a song and releasing it, no one listens to it. Like what that does to your fucking brain. Um, but I think it's really important for them to not get in their own heads and talk to people who've been there and understand that it's a process and
Yeah.
that things aren't going. You can't force anything. You can't force people to
Mhm.
like your music, but what you can do is you can be yourself, and you can not try to be something that you're not. Because a lot of people, this is the biggest no-no when it comes to sending me music. Do not ever tell me that your music sounds like something I already like. Don't do that, because that automatically makes me not care. Um,
Because they're
like,
like, oh, I already heard it. I already know what it sounds like
yeah,
then.
exactly. So this Nightwalks guy, I'm gonna use him as an example. Um, he would I feel like his general like demeanor about his music has been like, you know, like he's like not like fully confident in it, but like he's been showing us like demos and these unreleased songs, and we're like, dude, you needed to get a fucking song up. You fucking got it, man. And to me I think I said it sounded like I forgot what I thought it sounded like. It was like washed out, and One O Tricks Point never had a baby or something. I don't remember what it was, but I was sending in a text to somebody. But like, I came to that conclusion of why I liked it. He doesn't say, "Hey, you're gonna like this because it sounds like these bands that you like." You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Um, so I think the most important thing for them to do is to keep their nose to the grindstone and stay off the fucking internet.
But
Don't
you have
talk.
to be on the internet.
Well, hold on. This is what I'm getting to. A big problem people have is they love to talk about things before they're done.
Mm,
And you can't be on Instagram and Twitter talking about how your music's almost done. This music you're putting out is so good. This is going to be great. You're all going to love it. Because one, it takes away the surprise factor, which if you don't have a surprise factor, you don't have anything. Two, it sets an unrealistic expectation from the listeners and on you, because you're telling them it's good. Who does that? Don't tell people your music is going to blow them away, because you can't make that decision. Um,
true.
and most important thing is just be honest about your music, um, and don't look at what other people are doing and say I want to do that. Because uh, there's this band in the club who's I think going to be famous one day. They're called Sacre Blue, and they like if if everybody approached music the way that they did, I feel like people would be in a much better position. Because from speaking to them, it's like, they're not worried if everybody likes it. They're not worried how many plays it's going to get. They're not worried about who's going to share it. They're not worried about who's going to stroke their ego. They just like making music and art that fulfills them. And
Right.
I think if you make music and you're fulfilled but nobody listens to it, I still call that a good day.
Yeah. That's a good perspective. I mean, I agree with that. I think I love the, I guess, romanticized idea of like, oh, just make whatever you want. I mean, like, I make experimental music, so obviously nobody's fucking listening to that.
People have really unrealistic expectations of where their music is going to go.
I
and
agree.
um and it's okay to have those dreams, but they shouldn't be an expectation. Because everyone in music who's successful knows somebody. They all know somebody.
Yeah.
And that's just kind of something that we got to deal with. But the whole movement of independent music can stay strong if people are in it for the right reasons, I guess.
Yeah, I mean, there's a give and take between audience and artist for sure. Like as consumers, we have to make a conscious effort to like actively support the artists that we like instead of just like streaming a couple times. You know what I mean? Like even just like sharing and pioneering them to other people
Yeah.
will make a difference. In regards to like music industry, I also think that a lot of artists, like especially like young starting out artists, have a misconception that success in the music industry means only being at like that top level of like where Nicki Minaj and Drake and Radiohead and whatever are.
Yeah.
Right? Yeah. There's only like this point. But there's a lot of artists living in this middle point that are maybe not as famous, but they're living very comfortable lives.
Oh
And
yeah,
there's success too as well.
like 100 gex, like they're not like ridiculously like rich or anything, but like
But they're successful.
judging from their popularity and their numbers, like they're living comfortably.
Yeah,
I
of course.
guarantee it. So it's like that kind of success is definitely attainable, but
Absolutely.
um, that kind of thing is like, you know, it's all about who you send your shit to and how you go about it. Like Grimes sent her music to Gorilla versus Bear before she was famous, and he
Yeah.
was the first person that ever played her. Um, I'm pretty sure I found 100 gex on Reddit before Anthony Fantano reviewed them, and they were nobody. And I'm pretty sure he found them on Reddit too. I have no idea how else he would have found them, but there's so I think a big issue is people just they instead of focusing on the process and the fun that it is and making their art, they focus on the goal and where they're trying to get, which is where you're going to go crazy and you're going to fuck your shit up and your shit's going to not be good. And people probably won't like it because it's not genuine. Because, like, if you're making music to get famous, to go TikTok viral, it's just not going to happen.
Yeah. I mean, it can happen. I mean, we see a lot of artists making music specifically to go TikTok viral, which to me, like, is almost soulless. Like, it's very formulaic and it's music designed for a purpose of just being popular on TikTok. And it's like, is that, like, I understand it's still technically a song, but is it still a work of art?
So what I have noticed is that music from the past that
Oh my God, it pops off on TikTok now. It's so funny.
music from the past goes insane on TikTok
Mm,
more than music that is made currently for TikTok. So like I'm not gonna name names, but like I know of artists who have made music to try to go viral on TikTok and it doesn't work. Um, because you're trying to force something that the universe doesn't want. That top of the morning TikTok dance,
yeah.
Kendrick didn't make that. Kendrick didn't do that for, and they didn't do that for that. Anthony Fantano made that up, and then it went viral. Like,
Yeah.
there's a certain like somebody has to the song. It doesn't have to be tailored specifically for TikTok, but the mind of the person that makes it go viral is the real, I guess, MVP of the situation. Like
Mhm.
like all these Twitter dances, they went viral not because of the song, but because of the people who were making content based around it.
Yeah, exactly. So what would you say is one of the like bigger mistakes that artists who are emerging make when trying to, I guess, like market it? Like, I know we talked about a few things that maybe we shouldn't do. So what would you say is are like some heavy no-nos or like
Trying to
that you see artists make?
trying to please everybody.
Yeah.
Um making music making music for anybody else than who's going to appreciate it. Um a big thing is especially with artists, you know, like I said, like I get the full on independent artist experience. Like
Mhm.
I view these conversations. I look at how they act and what they say and what their insecurities are, what their strengths are. And, you know, a big thing people do is take what they have for granted, because if you have five if you have five people that like your music, who genuinely like it and listen to it, somebody will that artist who has 5 listeners will still find a way to say, but I wish I had 25.
Yeah.
But the thing is what you're doing right now is you're overlooking the people who support you because you're trying to impress the people who don't support you. We're
Mm.
always trying to get the approval of people who don't care instead of appreciating and reciprocating the people who do, you know.
Yeah.
I used to be like that all the time, you know. I'd be like, man, I wish I had 30,000 followers or 40,000. This
Mhm.
page has 50,000. And it's like, you know what, I kind of don't fucking care because I have like a little army of people who love everything I do. Why am I going to try to make stuff for people who aren't going to be interested in it?
Yeah.
Like, and I think that is where people sort of lose themselves. And I think that's the biggest no is to not take what you have for granted because it's all a process. You know what I mean? Like Chillwave Kittens is a process. It's a grind. It's a fucking job. Like everything takes forever. Like I'm doing YouTube videos now, and it's like the numbers from Instagram to YouTube aren't the same because I'm starting on a brand new platform.
Right.
But the thing is I have to work. I can't just expect thousands of people to give a shit. You have to you have to put in the work. You have to get the experience because that experience builds character.
Totally.
People who just blow up overnight, it doesn't happen often,
It
but
also doesn't happen overnight. Like what we don't see is those like years and years of working behind the scenes for that. Like these
it
overnight successes are not
it
like
happened
miracle things.
overnight success happened once, and it was Panic at the Disco. And I mean, that band also fizzled out, and it's just one guy now. So it's just it doesn't work out the way people want it to. And I think if you lower your expectations and stop trying to look so forward in the future, you'll be a lot happier with your results.
Yeah, that's a good perspective. And I do agree that we should be grateful. I actually see a lot of artists making this mistake online. They always like posting these like whack posts being like, nobody supports me.
Yeah,
Why am I not getting enough likes? Why aren't you guys listening to my music? And to me, I'm like, okay, first of all, if I was your fan, I would not be a fan after this because it shows to me that you don't care about my support, even if I'm streaming the album, if I'm sharing it, whatever. And secondly, what kind of attitude is that to broadcast to people? If I'm a new person and I go on your page and I see all you do is complain, why would that make me want to interact with what you're making?
yeah, exactly.
Yeah. And I see like so many artists exhibiting such whack behavior that to me, I'm like, it just seems obvious, right? That you would not want to be like that. But I do think that we should be grateful for what we have, like whether that's 10 followers or 10,000. And also, I think something to remember for all artists is that followers, as you've just exhibited in like, or like talked about that from Instagram to YouTube, like followers doesn't always translate into listeners.
Yeah.
And listeners also doesn't translate into like direct fans.
Mm-hmm.
And so like there is a pipeline that people have to go down. Like people can follow you, but they might not listen to your stuff at all. They might just think you're like hot or whatever.
Yeah, exactly.
Oh my gosh, what's my other question? Actually, I'm gonna let you go a little bit earlier this time because I know you have your show after, so I'm gonna let you
Okay.
set up. So I do have one last question, which is, what platform do you think is important for artists to focus on if they're starting out?
Ooh, um, not Twitter.
No, not Twitter. Twitter is really funny for yourself.
Twitter, Twitter's where you go to be like a piece of shit. Uh,
I actually have found like because I'm on like well my Twitter's private because it's just like a diary dump, but I follow a lot of like indie labels and stuff on Twitter. So I do get some good music recommendations on there, but it's mostly just people's like takes about like business techno and like the drama in the techno scene and like COVID and whatever.
so, what I'm gonna go ahead and say the most important platform for them to have. I don't know if this counts because it's private, but Discord is the best one
Okay.
because Instagram is a fucking popularity contest, and it gets into people's heads, and they do shit they wouldn't normally do. Um, but Discord, what I've realized, what I've seen is that it's really encouraging, and people really get to know each other and understand each other, and you know it's really easy for them to put each other in each other's shoes, and it gives you a direct line of support. Like the artists in my club, like this is the thing. I'm basically the manager of the restaurant while they run it. Everything. A good restaurant runs itself. You don't need the owner of the restaurant there for it to operate.
Right.
But for it to operate, everyone needs to know what they're doing. And you know, the thing about it is when you're starting out, I guess this is a good explanation and a good way to end things. So, if you're a small artist and you're starting out, the most important thing you can do is build relationships with people who are going to support your music, not because you want them to, but because you're trying to be a genuinely good person. Because over time, when you do this, people will support your music because they genuinely like it, not because they're feeling forced to. Um, and that will over time creates a ripple effect. Um, People, for some reason, don't count people they know as an audience, which doesn't make any sense to me because
Yeah.
you gotta start somewhere. And the thing is the people that support your music will eventually share it with their friends. And
Hmm.
if their friends like it, they will share it with their friends, and their friends will share it with their friends, so on and so forth.
Yeah.
And that is how you create a decent ripple effect. Uh, Instagram is good for sharing stuff, but like for artist growth, I don't think so because everyone has an agenda on Instagram.
Yeah.
Uh, and so with Discord, it's very private, and there's a lot of humility and a lot of fuck ups and a lot of lessons learned. So I think the most important thing for young, up and coming, nobody artists to do is to find other young, up and coming, nobody artists, because chances are they're going through the same things you are. They're doubting themselves. They're thinking their shit's not good enough. They're thinking their mix sucks. That's another thing too, is people are always comparing what they do to what like Tame Impala does. Like that dude's a genius. Like
Yeah.
you don't have to be as good at making music as him. Like just make music that is honest, and
Right.
like you'll get better at it over time. Like and just let that come naturally. Like learn to mix, learn to produce, like learn how to EQ your shit. Like it does not matter how terrible it sounds to me. I just want it to be honest. That's
Right.
what I look for.
That's a good perspective. I appreciate that as well for music. Like that's authentic. Sometimes stuff can be overmixed, but I also agree that we should all learn like proper technical skills.
Oh yeah, exactly. But I think I don't think the technical skill should always be the main focus.
No, no, definitely. Okay, well, I'm gonna let you go early because I know you gotta prep for your show. But before we
Awesome.
go, what's the drop link to your what link can I put in the chat for your Patreon, Discord? Like, how do we join? So,
Oh, the should I send it to you over this chat thing?
yo, yeah, send it to me in this private chat, and then I'll
Okay.
post it in the public chat.
Okay. So,
Where is the chat? Oh, here. For anyone wondering, the streaming platform I actually use is called StreamYard, and I found it extremely easy to use, both for myself and for the viewer, because or sorry, the guest, because they don't have to download anything. So if anyone's looking to get into streaming, I guess you could use this. Um, but yeah, wait, I'm
okay.
waiting for the link.
Here's the link for the Patreon. For $5, you can get into the Discord. You can submit things to my show. I do take submissions from the public as well, but they like if they want a world premiere stuff, or like they got a song coming out and they want it on a certain day, like that's basically what this is for. So you can have some sort of control over getting to premiere your music in front of like 30 or 40 people.
Yeah.
And then should I throw you a link? Should I throw a link to my Twitch as well?
Yeah, I tossed the Twitch link. So right after this, as you guys know, we
Oh,
have beats
I
and we're
should
doing
HTTP that.
live streaming on the Onaire channel. So doing live beat making, so you can watch that, or you can head over to Chillwave Kittens Twitch to watch a little radio show and get some new music. So it
There we
is
go.
up to you what you want to do, or you can, just go off the internet. um, and do something else. So it is up to you. And I guess, yeah, any final statement, anything final to say before I
Um,
go?
everyone should just keep doing what they're doing because as many people there are in the world, everyone has their spot and there's no point in trying to do anything that anybody else is doing because only you are capable of doing what you were meant to do on this planet.
What a superstar message. I love it. Okay. Thank you so much, Chillwave Kittens, for joining
Thank
the
you for
show.
having me.
Thank you, everyone, for joining. And thank you, Onaire, for having. And of course, your choice. Go to Chillwave Kittens Twitch to watch some
Yes.
music. Stay on this channel to watch live beat making with Beat by More, or go and have a cup of tea. So,
Yes.
good night, good morning, and thank you so much. Bye.
Bye.